All right, hello there. Welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, I have another Criterion Collection review for you today. This is another 4K edition from the Criterion Collection. This is a new film. It came out in 2023 from director Wim Wenders, who is no stranger to the Criterion Collection. This is a new film from him starring Koji Yakusho, who also starred in the 1997 film Cure, which is available in the Criterion Collection. But in this case, he's playing a very different role. He's not playing a detective as he played in Cure. He is playing a toilet cleaner in Perfect Days, the 2023 Wim Wenders film. He is part of the Tokyo Project, and he cleans toilets in an area of Tokyo. And you may wonder, what in the world is interesting about a story of a man who cleans toilets in Tokyo? Well, on the other side of this, we'll talk about that and why this is an addition you may want to consider adding to your cart. So let's talk about it. A film by Wim Wenders, Perfect Days, is a film that I saw recently. Of course, I saw it when I first picked up this disc as part of the 50% off Criterion Collection sale at Barnes & Noble for the month of July 2024. So as of the time you see this, that sale may be over. This is actually going to go up the last day of the sale on the 28th. So depending on which time you see this, you may or may not have time to still take advantage of picking it up for 50% off in the Barnes & Noble sale. But in any event, this is a title that I definitely think deserves attention because it is deeply, deeply touching, has a very moving story. The premise of this film about a man who is part of a Tokyo toilet cleaning crew, and he goes around cleaning toilets in his area of Tokyo. That premise seems like a pretty simple premise and one that wouldn't garner a lot of interest or be much of an interesting story, but looks can be deceiving. This is a very fascinating, moving, contemplative film that makes you think, that makes you ponder, makes you sort of appreciate the simple things of life. And it's just a beautifully presented movie. And of course, it's available on 4K. I happen to watch this on 4K, and I'm just going to share a little bit about the film, share a little bit about the picture quality. This is a new film, so it came out in 2023, and just the audio, and talk a little bit about the supplements because some pretty interesting supplements in this package. So some information that will help inform your decision as to whether or not this is a title that is for you or not. So it's definitely not for everybody, but of course no title is for everybody. But I definitely want to share some thoughts on it that maybe help you in your decision. So let me just read the back of the case here. It says, Perfect Days, a perfect song that hits at just the right moment, the play of sunlight through leaves, a fleeting moment of human connection in a vast metropolis. The wonders of everyday life come into breathtaking focus in this profoundly moving film by Wim Wenders. In a radiant Cannes award-winning performance of few words but extraordinary expressiveness, Koji Yakusho plays a public toilet cleaner in Tokyo whose rich inner world is gradually revealed through his small exchanges with those around him and with the city itself. Channeling his idol Yasuhiro Ozu, Wim Wenders crafts a serenely minimalist ode to the miracle that is the here and now. I love the way that this story is presented in terms of this minimalist style, this simplicity of the story, really focusing on the life of this man who leads what would appear to be a simple life, but you learn more about his backstory and about things going on in his life in such a way that it doesn't ever give you a full picture of everything there is to know about him, but you do get to understand a little bit more about his character and understand some more complexities that are a part of his life that go beyond his role as a toilet cleaner that makes the story very interesting. I like the way that Wenders portrays his life, portrays his routine that he goes about every morning, getting up, getting ready, getting his coffee, going to work. His daily routine of getting up, that routine is repeated over and over again. And it's sort of John Dielman-ness or John Dielman-esque in the way that is presented in terms of the routine day to day. You see that routine get, sort of change up a little bit, experience some interruption during the story, similar to what happens to Jean Dielman. But of course, the premise is entirely different. But it's using some similar techniques that Chantal Akerman used for that film, but also presented in a way that's very similar to films that you see from Yasuhiro Ozu in terms of that minimalist style. So I really like the aesthetic that Wim Wenders uses in presenting this story and this character played by Yasuhiro. I'm sorry, not Yasuhiro, by Koji Yakusho. So let me show you some information here that I have about the movie here. Of course, you have Perfect Days, the cover from Criterion. This is director Wim Wenders. Director Wim Wenders has given us other films that are in the Criterion Collection, such as Wings of Desire here, and Paris, Texas. Now, I happen to have both of these on Blu-ray. Wings of Desire is available on Criterion 4K now. So this has received a 4K upgrade. I actually have the Blu-ray in my collection. I've been debating whether or not I should make the upgrade. And right now, I'm just sticking with my Blu-ray. I'm just rocking the Blu-ray right now. I've decided to sort of pass on the upgrade, but it is an amazing film. It's spine number 490 in the collection from Wim Wenders. This is a film from 1987, and it is not to be missed. It is Wings of Desire, and this is one of my favorites in the collection, and might be my favorite from Wim Wenders. It is Paris, Texas. It is spine number 501. It is from 1984. This, of course, stars the late, great Harry Dean Stanton. In this film, also has Dean Stockwell. Really, really good movie, Paris, Texas. So those are a couple of other Criterion Collection recommendations there for your consideration. But in this case, this is Perfect Days from Wim Wenders. One of his most current films, might be the most recent film he's put out. This is the director. This stars Koji Yakusho as Hirayama. He is the public toilet cleaner. He leads a very simple life. You see, of course, a view in his apartment here. He gets up every morning. He's sleeping in a mat on the floor. He gets up, rolls up his sleeping bed, goes into his morning routine of his shaving and all of the details that he meticulously goes through every morning, going outside, looking out and looking up at the sky every morning and appreciating nature. During the day, he's looking up at the sky and looking at the trees and the light coming through the trees. And it just shows his appreciation for the simple things of life, for the simplicity of nature. And that's part of the simplicity of the story that Wim Wenders is portraying, but then layering on some layers of complexity as you learn more about Hirayama's relationships with other people. You see some family members come into play, relationships with his co-workers and the dynamics that are played out there, relationships with other people in the community in Japan and Tokyo that he interacts with as he goes about his daily routine. So you get some more texture and meat on the bone of who this man is. And it's just absolutely fascinating. There's a lot more to this toilet cleaner than initially meets the eye. And that's part of the beauty and the beguileness of this story that is presented in Perfect Days. So I love this character. This is an example of an actor showing his brilliance, how he portrays a character like this, who is simple, a man of few words, and how that's contrasted with the character he played as the detective in Cure back in 1997. And you can see just the range of Koji Yakusho, just a brilliant actor. And that's put on full display. His expressiveness says it all in this story. This film is essentially a love letter from Wim Wenders to Japan. Of course, you learn in the supplements how much Wim Wenders loves this country, how much he was influenced by the works of Yasuhiro Ozu, how that made him fall in love with Japan, and how this film is essentially his love letter to Japan in terms of experiencing the beauty of the land through the eyes of Hirayama, this simple man. It's just a beautiful beautiful showcase of the beauty of Tokyo as Mr. Hirayama goes about his work, goes about his daily life, and you seeing various areas of Tokyo. This here is him pictured with his niece in the film, who is part of the story of family involvement in Hirayama's life and some of the complications that are involved there that again adds more texture to who he is as a person. The Tokyo Toilet Project. Amazing, amazing stuff. There's a great story here around that and around how that has been portrayed in this film. Of course, you'll see that his uniform has the Tokyo Toilet Hirayama, and that's the company I guess he works for or the initiative he works for. And you see these very interesting public toilets that are in Japan, and that's really interesting to see in terms of the interesting designs and how the lighting works and turning the lights on or off, and how when a person goes into you, when how basically they're you can see in the bathroom from the outside, but when someone goes in, they can flip the switch and it becomes what they call it, translucent, where you can't see on the inside. It's very interesting how that works with those public toilets in Japan. And there's some really interesting interactions between Hirayama and the people coming in and out of the toilets and their mannerisms, and it all is part of the story that is beautifully shown here, and taking something that seems simple but adding complexity and beauty and interest to it. So here you have Hirayama. He is interacting with his coworker. Here is on the left, who is dealing with some personal issues with this young lady on the right there. And that's a pretty nice little side story that makes this film really interesting. And then, of course, you have Wim Wenders and writer Takumo Takasaki. He is the writer of this film, and you see them working together over there in Japan and just developing a wonderful relationship in putting together this story, putting this story on paper to be brought to life in this beautiful film. Of course, cast with a wonderful lead in Koji Yakusho and with a wonderful supporting cast. But yes, writer Takasaki did a wonderful job with the script. And then, of course, you have some wonderful supplements that are part of this release. I mean, this release has some absolutely extraordinary supplements. You have here Yanai Koji, who's the founder of the Tokyo Toilet. So you see him talking about that, which is very fascinating, which gives you some more texture of what you're seeing in the film. And then you see one of the side actors in this film is a man that Hirayama is observing in his environments. He's out there sort of dancing and just doing this random dances around these toilets. And this is an actual actor and dancer named Tanaka Min. And Wim Wenders had the opportunity to actually film him doing a performance, and that performance is one of the supplements on this Blu-ray disc that's included. So you have a 4K disc here that has the 4K here, but then you have a Blu-ray that has all the supplements, and one of those supplements is a supplement, Somebody Comes Into the Light, which is from 2023, which is a short by Wim Wenders, which is basically a performance from this guy Tanaka Min. They just recorded him doing this wonderful expressive dance performance. They captured it and they made a short out of it, so they included that. And then of course you have Pina Bausch here, so there's some discussion of her. She was the inspiration for this film called Pina, which is in the Criterion Collection, and to my knowledge it is, I believe, the only 3D film in Criterion, with the exception of probably Anselm, which I think recently came out and I believe is available on 3D. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, Pina is one of the only 3D releases available on Criterion. And that is another film by Wim Wenders. I've never picked that one up, but let me know in the comment section if you all have that. And if you do, what you think about it. But yeah, I think this is just a wonderful film. I just absolutely enjoyed so much of it. It is a deeply personal work for Wim Wenders. And it doesn't have the sweeping scope of a lot of his films like Paris, Texas, or The American Friend, or I guess, until the end of the world. But it does offer a quiet, introspective journey for Hirayama that is very powerful. It's a film that grows on you. It's a film that is meditative, that you sort of let wash over you. I'm pretty sure that as I watch this film more and more through the years, it's going to grow on me even more. I'm going to pick up, more layers of this film through, future viewing. So I am very much looking forward to that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is just an absolutely fantastic film. For a little known fact about Perfect Days, of course, this film was shot almost entirely on location in Tokyo. And Wenders has always been fascinated by the culture and atmosphere of Japan. Again, this film is his love letter to this wonderful land. And the film allowed him the opportunity to explore it in a deeply personal way. You have the city's vibrant yet tranquil energy is almost a character in itself. And that is so true that Tokyo is a character unto itself. The way it's presented in this movie is beautiful, whether you're talking about the night scenes, the daytime scenes, or you're talking about the wonderful architecture, or just the scenes of nature, seeing the beautiful trees and the lights coming through the trees, or the sunlight coming through the trees as Hirayama is looking up at the trees above him. Just beautiful. Beauty is shown everywhere in this film. And again, it is Wim Wenders giving a chef's kiss to his love of this great country of Japan. But yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful addition in terms of how this looks on 4K Ultra HD. Let me come out of this view here, stop sharing this. This is a wonderful addition. You have your 4K disc, you have your Blu-ray disc, you have this nice fold out here that has Hirayama here on the cover, Koji Yakusho. You have a little plant there in his apartment. Again, part of the simplicity of which he leads his life. There's a wonderful essay here called Where the Light Comes Through, which is by Bilge Abiri, which talks about, Wim Wenders' love of Japan and how he came up with the story for Perfect Days. So wonderful, wonderful essay there. And then the supplements, again, are absolutely wonderful. Of course, you have the interview with actor Koji Yakusho. You have a new interview with Wim Wenders. You have that interview that I mentioned with Koji Yanai, who's the founder of the Tokyo Toilet Project that I showed. That wonderful performance by the actor and dancer that was captured by Wenders in this short. You have a trailer, and then, of course, you have that essay that I told you about with Bill Japiri. So here are the features here. And as far as how this film looks on 4K Ultra HD, this is a brand new film. It came out in 2023. It looks absolutely wonderful. And I think I'm so happy that Criterion made the decision to put this film on 4K, because this film does a beautiful job showing the beauty of Tokyo, showing the landscapes, showing the cityscapes, showing the architecture, showing the nature, showing the interior of Hirayama's apartment. Everything is just beautifully detailed. It looks absolutely wonderful, whether you're talking about the nighttime scenes and everything looking, with a nice level of detail and depth and clarity, and really some good, like, three-dimensional quality to the image in terms of the characters being separated, the characters in the foreground being separated from the background, and just having that really wonderful sense of depth and realness in the image. And it just basically is a function of this being a brand new film, and that is now on a 4K disc, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. I don't believe that this features any HDR or Dolby Vision, but it still looks absolutely phenomenal on this 4K. It's perfectly clean, it's detailed. It just looks absolutely wonderful, which is to be expected of a brand new film, and that has been put on a 4K disc. So you have a 4K digital master approved by Wim Wenders. You have a 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. And that soundtrack is wonderful because you have all those wonderful sounds of nature. You have, of course, the dialogue and the other, sounds from the cityscapes as well as just normal outdoor sounds. It all comes through beautifully with that sound mix, and I was definitely pleased with that. So overall, the presentation is very strong for Perfect Days. I feel like with a lot of these Criterion releases, is a similar story. You know, the video and the audio is strong, and this is another case of that. You know, where I think Criterion's done a fantastic job with this brand new movie. But I think the story, I think the star of this release is the actual film itself, the quality of this meditative film, the strength of the performance from Koji Yakusho, and just the wonderful writing that and direction that makes this all go. So my overall recommendation for Perfect Days is it is highly recommended. Definitely consider picking up. If you happen to catch this video while the Criterion sale is still going on, it's a great time to pick it up on 4K Ultra HD or Blu-ray, or a great time to pick it up on a future sale. Definitely keep it in your consideration. Spy number 1226, Perfect Days, the 2023 film from director Wim Wenders. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this film from Wim Wenders? Have you seen Perfect Days? If so, what do you think about it? What are some of your favorites from Wim Wenders? And what are some of your favorite films that star Koji Yakusho? Are you a fan of Cure, which is available on Criterion? That's also highly recommended. Or are you a fan of another film he appears in? Let us know some Koji Yakusho recommendations below in the comment section, as well as some Wim Wenders recommendations. Let us know all that goodness in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.